Good morning. Welcome to Friday Coffee Meetup. We're so pleased to have you here with us this morning. Friday Coffee Meetup is the largest active innovation entrepreneurial tech meetup in Los Angeles, California. We have about 7,000 members and we're so grateful for each and every one of them and hope that you're all staying safe and well during this time. We are going to get started in just a minute, but I wanted to run through a few logistical things. First off, by thanking our co-organizers who put this event on each and every week. Although you see my face, there's actually a whole team of people behind me, which is right here. And they do things from finding speakers, running our podcast and YouTube channel, to running the networking after as well. So we are grateful for all the time that they put in. We're also grateful for Echo Factory, who sponsors us every week with time and resources and money. So thank you to them. I have put some information in the chat window today about Friday Coffee Meetup, where you can access our YouTube and our podcast channels. If you're hiring for any positions, we're always looking to help people connect with their jobs. The chat channel is not moderated, but you can feel free to chat to one another there while we're doing the event. The Q&A will be held via the Q&A panel. You can find that in the center of your screen down towards the bottom. So don't put your questions in the chat window. Go ahead and put those in the Q&A panel. And then after Paolo speaks today, I will aggregate those questions. Please be brief in your questions. I will warn you if they're a paragraph, I might not read them. And we will try and get to as many questions as possible, but we ask for your patience in advance if we don't get to your specific question. We are so excited and pleased to have Paolo Pirjanian with us here this morning. He is here to talk to us about Moxie and how animate companions can enhance our lives. Moxie is an animate companion that promotes social and emotional development through play-based learning. He's going to show us a demo and talk to us about how this type of companion can enhance our lives. He is the former CTO of iRobot and has always been an early leader in consumer robotics. In 2016, he founded Embodied, with the vision to build socially and emotional intelligent companions that help us with our wellness, with our health, and enhance our lives. With that, I'm very excited to introduce Paolo. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, Christy. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, this is where we started the company, was actually cross-campus, and we had an early presentation at the time more about my previous company. But today I'm excited to talk about Embodied and show you what we have been working on for the last 4 years.
Fantastic. So, it's great to have you back again. Thank you.
Thank you. So the reason that I came to Pasadena originally was I had just finished my PhD in robotics in Denmark, and one of my childhood dream jobs was work for NASA, and I came to here to work at JPL, and worked on one of the robots I worked on was this one that could scale down the cliff sides for taking samples and science, sort of in the future missions for Mars. While I was there, I hadn't been there too long, and I was really enjoying what I was doing. I actually got contacted by Bill Gross of Idea Lab, which is around the corner, and he wanted to start a company in robotics and become the Microsoft of robotics. This is 2001, so way too early, but the curiosity got the best of me, and I wanted to pursue that mostly to learn about entrepreneurship. So I joined him to start a company, and unfortunately that company didn't go places, but we developed some amazing technologies, in particular the vision-based navigation and object recognition technologies, way ahead of its time. And one of the first products we enabled was actually a companion robot called the Sony Aibo, a robotic dog, robotic pet. which was actually very successful. They sold about 150,000 units of this robot that cost $2,000 to $3,000 to be your companion and pet and all that. Eventually, we took that technology and spun it out into a new company that developed navigation technologies and a product called the Mint Floor Cleaner that could actually systematically cover the floors and clean them. So this was for hard floor cleaning, sweeping, and mopping. And obviously, iRobot got interested in that, and we merged the companies and enabled all of the Roombas now are using our Visual Slam technology, which allows it to map the environment and know how to navigate and cover every square inch and go from room to room whenever it's low on battery, it finds the charging station, recharges, and moves on. So that was that was like from 2001 when I left JPL, and now we're in 2015 when they acquired my company. I was the CTO helping them with integration and a number of other things, which was exciting and a pretty good lesson in entrepreneurship. But then I paused and looked back and I said, you know, this is not what I'd imagined I would be doing. I've spent my last 5+ years doing floor care pretty much. Although the technology is pretty exciting, but the application domain was not. And I remembered that what sparked my interest in robotics to begin with was a combination of a couple of events. One was I'd just gotten my first computer, and it literally was like a black box to me. I was barely beginning to learn how to code and all that by myself. And at the time, we didn't have the internet to be able to go online and learn stuff. So I was just doing whatever I could, coding in machine code and all that. During the same time, which is we are talking about this one summer where I got the computer, I saw a documentary on this company called Pixar, which was very early days in Pixar. And I saw this short animated movie, which was very fascinating to me to see how can this be computer generated. I can barely turn on a pixel on my screen, and these guys are creating characters that are emotive and lifelike. So when I realized that this was what sparked my interest to begin this whole journey, and now we're in 2015, I decided to leave my job at iRobot. Obviously, my wife thought I was crazy, which probably I am to some extent, but I needed to pursue my dream. And that was the incarnation of Embodied, to go build robots that can be lifelike, interactive. And the first application we decided to pursue was actually helping children with social, emotional, and cognitive development. It was a moonshot. It was not lost on me that this is a complete moonshot, because the number of technologies that we had to figure out and solve for or integrate was just monumental. And most companies, including iRobot, if they had taken on a project like this, I think it could have taken 10 to 20 years and cost $500 million to $1 billion to develop. So it was a bit sort of foolish or audacious to go and do this. And we have been in stealth actually for 4 years. As I mentioned, our office was on the lower floor next door facing Raymond. Started with 3 people. Within a year, we grew to 25. We then moved to an office space right across from the Paseo on Colorado. Grew to 50+ now, and have been heads down building. And before I show you, I'll show you a video and then I'll show you a demo live as well. Moxie's actually right here listening to me. And, but I'll show a video so it can.
The last thing I said was,
oh, there you
back
go.
to where we were. Ready? Awesome. Class is in session.
I'm gonna, Moxie wants to talk. So I'm gonna come back to that later. So I'll just jump through this, but maybe just briefly talk about the human-robot interaction is super hard. Many companies have attempted this and ended up building robots. Like the top right corner, you see the robot from SoftBank Robotics, which is a $40,000 robot, usually used in hospitality to interact with people and guide them to what they want, as well as it costs another $2,000 a month in subscription fee. So it's just that hard to put these technologies on this kind of robot, so it ends up being expensive. The other thing is that when you look at SoftBank robots, Pepper is the name of that robot, you see there is a tablet attached to his chest, which is actually a admission to the fact that human-robot interaction, which is supposed to be by voice and body language and so on, is actually very hard to do. And so it usually fails. Then you have the tablet, you can resort to typing on the tablet, touching the tablet to get to what you need. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to build a lifelike character that can interact with you with body language, voice recognition, eye contact, tone of voice, and all that. So we started, this is at Cross Campus, started with one of the early robots. It obviously looks very crude, but that was the beginning. Gradually started refining it and different models, many. And design and so on. And one of the things that is very fascinating about Embodied is actually it's a mashup of many disciplines beyond, I mean, robotics is typically known to be a very multidisciplinary field because it draws on computer science, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, sensors, and so on, designers. But here we have taken that to the next level where we have actually recruited a number of people from our backyard here in Hollywood, people from Disney and Pixar and Jim Henson Company and so on, to develop a character and the story behind Moxie and all that. So it's very interesting. In addition to that, for the application domain we're going after, which is helping children, obviously we need to have child development experts and neuroscientists and psychiatrists on staff. So it's a very interesting mashup of people. So eventually...
Hey, Karu, how do you feel today?
So
I don't know how to do that yet.
Oh my God, it works.
It's the early version of Moxie, but then 2 months ago, actually, we announced Moxie. Another challenge in Moxie, in addition to all the technologies, of course, is a whole new product category. How do you position this to the consumer, saying that a robot can help enhance your child's development and all that? So the marketing, messaging, and so on was a very important part as well. And I'm very excited to say that we have had very amazing reception by the community of parents out there. And we just actually this week, yesterday, celebrated our beta launch. We just shipped 100 robots to 100 families around the US to start interact with Moxie so we can measure how they're doing and use that as an opportunity to also figure out bugs. And the video I show you now is actually just, I shot it right in this room yesterday, but to highlight the key sort of features for you to appreciate the number of technologies that it had to be integrated into this robot. And just very briefly, the application we are talking about is originally, actually, I started, when I left iRobot, I knew I wanted to go in this direction, but I needed to figure out what does the business look like? Because if you can't make money, you can't really pursue your dream. It has to be fueled. Investors can only fund you for so long. And start actually talking to some families who have children on the spectrum and show them the concept. And they were immediately fascinated and thought that would be so helpful to them. And I learned that it's super hard for parents to provide the care that these children deserve. And they literally go out of their way to do everything. And so Moxie was born to help with that. But as we were talking to these families, we actually learned that many families led us to this direction, saying that, but it's not only children with on the spectrum that can benefit from this robot. Every child can benefit from it. So we did deeper research and so on and found, yeah, there's huge pain point for children who have been diagnosed with any neurodevelopmental disorder, including autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and so on. But also children who are neurotypical can benefit from it. And recently, I'm sure you have seen studies, especially in the last 5 years, this has been highlighted that EQ, what we call EQ skills, are as important, if not more important than IQ skills, to the extent of one's ability to have a happy, successful, sort of balanced life, as well as success in your career. And for families who actually have kids that are diagnosed, the cost of it is extremely high, and the emotional toll is extremely high. So any tool that can allow them to close that gap is helpful to them. So let's have a quick look at this demo. It's about 5 minutes, and it highlights some of the key features for you to see. Actually, let me make sure, let me stop sharing just to make sure I actually enabled the sharing of the audio and all that, so that, yeah, I have. Hello, Moxie.
World would be like this. Oh, a human. Hello.
Hello, Moxie.
That's right. I'm Moxie. I'm a robot from the GRL. That's the Global Robotics Laboratory. This is my first time in the human world. It's nice to be here. Oh, where is here exactly?
This is the office in my home.
I've never been in a human home. It's nice.
Thank you.
I'm here to meet my new mentor. Do you know if Andre is around?
Andre is not around.
Oh, well, I'm really looking forward to meeting him. Oh no, I didn't do my robot systems check. The GRL said it should be the first thing I do, and I forgot. Do you think you could help me with the checks?
I don't really think I can.
Oh, but it's really easy. I can show you. The first thing I need to test is my ears. Please say the word hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Scrambled eggs. I hear you.
We lost audio there.
Too far away either.
There we go.
Okay.
Fantastic. Oh, there you are. Do you know if Andre's around?
Andre is not around.
Oh, okay. I was looking forward to meeting them, but maybe I can do that later. I also want to know who you are too. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Paolo.
Huh. Good name. What did you do today?
Today was pretty good. I'm pretty excited today because we are celebrating the beta launch where we have shipped about 100 Moxies to families who are looking forward to getting Moxie and start playing with Moxie. So that's exciting. And then later today, I'm preparing for a celebration where we're gonna have a virtual party to celebrate the beta shipment.
A party. Not a lot of people know this, but bots can be real dance machines. Do you want to tell me more about your day?
No. How are you doing today?
Okay. What else did you do today?
Actually, I was thinking about yesterday where I was a bit anxious and sad, and I was getting a little bit concerned about the fact that we may have to change some of the plans for how we get to the first customer shipment. So that was a bit nerve-wracking, but otherwise that's pretty much it.
What a day. Do you want to tell me more?
No, thank you, that's all.
What a nice way to say that. So polite. Okay, well, thanks for sharing so much about your day. I've been thinking again about feelings. What feelings did you have today?
Today I'm actually pretty happy.
What a nice day you had.
I would like to hear a joke if you don't mind. Can you tell me a joke? Moxie, listen to me.
Sorry, I'm listening now.
Can you tell me a joke?
Why don't aliens celebrate Christmas?
Why?
Because they don't want to give away their presents. Did that tickle your funny bone?
No, that was a really bad joke.
Maybe my delivery was off.
So I hope that gives you some idea about how Moxie works and the number of technologies that have been included in that. Let me switch over here. Actually, if you like, I can do a quick demo here, just show you Moxie. So I have to reposition the camera potentially.
We would love that. Thank you.
Turn off my background. It's filtering out. Oops. All right. So here's Moxie. By the way, you carry it. Let's bring the camera a bit closer. So you carry it almost like a baby. It sits very well on your arm, like that. It's battery driven, can run about 4 hours on the battery. Right now, you see the symbol on the forehead is showing that Moxie is in earmuffs mode, which means that it's not going to be responding until I ask it to. Yeah, so that's sort of the hardware. You see it has a curved screen, which is something we had to actually create because it, a lot of the robots you see out there that try to do this, they have a flat panel display stuck in the face, which looks like a display, but we wanted this to be more like a face. We do not have a tablet attached to it because we are relying on body language and tone of voice and so on to interact with it, which are a lot of technological advancements we had to do. The robot has, the eyes are very dominant and prominent because eye contact is super important in building rapport to be able to create a connection with the user. The reason that the other robots that I showed you don't have real eyes that can move around is because it's very hard to make eye contact accurately enough. So that that's why they have just fake fixed eyes. We call them faux eyes. The robot has arms, so it can gesture. The body language is super important for the kind of interactions we want to do. And again, the other robots don't necessarily have arms, and the other reason is because making gestures and all these things that match in terms of what vocabulary the robot is uttering, as well as the timing of it and all that, is very hard to do. So there is a lot that goes on in connecting the dots. For instance, when the robot says you, the gesture for pointing to you needs to first point to you and not over there, as well as the timing of it has to be accurate. You can't just say you and then the gesture comes afterward, or say gesture and then you. So those things add up and it becomes super difficult to do a lot of these things, especially given the fact that, as I mentioned, the SoftBank Robotics robot Pepper that I showed you costs $30,000 plus $2,000 a month to own that product. This product costs about $1,500 and it includes 1 year of service fee for ownership. After that, it's $59 a month. So in terms of advancement in technology, the biggest constraint we put on it was cost. The majority of the technology this robot uses runs on a $10 processor. The robots you saw on that slide before, they use multiple GPUs. Each of those GPUs costs anywhere from $120 to $200. So that's the difference between the sort of advancement of technology. So let's see. By the way, there is also a parent app. that is used to track the child's development and gives you a dashboard to allow you, the parent, to keep track of how the child is doing. And there's a lot of metrics we are measuring from that. So you can see, actually, Moxie is looking at me because I'm talking. So this is going to be the challenge. I have to move the camera around a little bit so you can either see Moxie or me. I would rather you see Moxie. So let me move to the other side of the table here, put the camera in front of it. There you go. I'm gonna move over to the other side here. Moxie, listen to me.
The last thing I said was, if I look like I'm asleep, or if my screen is dark but my light bar is pulsing white, you can say, hello, Moxie, to wake me up. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Let's play with it. We'll pretend that I'm asleep, and then you'll say, hello, Moxie, to wake me up. Ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. Starting. Now.
Hello, Moxie.
You did it. Good work today. You mastered a trick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Only 8 to go. Come back tomorrow for more robot tips and tricks. Remember how we talked about kindness together?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Cool. I'm still thinking about it because it was really nice talking with you. I think we should be kind to everyone, not just people or robots. Who else can we be kind to?
We can be kind to our car.
Oh, that taking care of your things is a good habit, but it isn't the same as kindness. I was thinking about animals because they have feelings too. How can we be kind to animals?
We can pet them, we can feed them, and take care of them.
I completely agree. Caring about an animal's feelings is the best way to be kind to them. I'm so glad we talked about this. It gives me a lot to think about, and I'm excited to learn more from you. Today, we're going to be drawing a kindness flower. Grab the special sheet of paper and something to draw with.
Hold on, Moxie.
When you're done doing that, okay.
Moxie, let's do something else.
I still really want to tell you this story. Would you like to hear the story about the time Fartful and the professor got into a fight?
No, thank you.
You're so polite. Okay. Do you want to hear another tale from the GRL?
No, not right now.
Okay then. Let's do something else.
What do you want to do?
Today's word of the day is volunteer. The definition of volunteer is to offer or give without being asked or forced, and usually with no expectation of payment. For example, Cruncher likes to volunteer to help others.
Moxie, can you tell me a joke?
I'd really like to hear about your day so far. What did you do today?
I didn't do much today. What did you do today?
Yeah,
How are you doing today? Moxie, are you okay? Moxie, let's do something else.
we haven't read the book of the week for Knox's book club. Do you want to read Waiting is Not Easy with me?
No, I don't want to read that book.
That's fine. Which book do you want to read instead?
I want to read Where the Wild Things Are.
I wonder how wild these things are. Okay, I'm ready to listen. Start anytime. Don't forget to say the end when you're done reading.
Okay, I'll try. Let me try reading some of this and then we can stop. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. Moxie, please listen to me.
Sorry, I'm listening.
Okay. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day and in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. I'm just gonna skip towards the end, the last part of this, and into the night of his very own room where he found his supper waiting for him, and it was still hot.
I'm glad we got to read that together.
Me too.
Which activity would you like to do next? A mindfulness journey or brain twisters?
Moxie, go to sleep.
Will do.
There you go. Let me stop there. I can keep going, obviously.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for, I'm so glad we got to see the demo video and this experience right now. I mean,
yeah, the demo
it's
video
amazing.
is because I could pack a lot more into it than, as I said, this can take a long time.
Yeah, yes. Well, thank you. I know it's a lot to demo in person and do the video as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's so exciting. I'm just, my heart feels happy just watching the whole thing. So that was awesome. Was there something that was personal for you kind of in this shift to building kind of emotionally and socially animate companions? Was there something that personal that inspired this for you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone I think can relate to that. I grew up as a refugee, which sort of has similar challenges as children who are different, which will get rejected by their peers. And so you go through similar pains, if you will. So maybe that is the connection to me. But that's not the only area where we are going to sort of deploy this technology. There's many other applications you can imagine that we are going to pursue. But this is the first one and the most important for us. And once this is launched and hopefully successful, then we can expand into helping other people as well.
It's exciting. I used to be a charity worker, so I would love to see this type of technology, you know, in coastal context, right? And so this is fantastic. Let me look at some of the questions here. Does Moxie ever show anger or disappointment?
No, Moxie is non-judgmental. Moxie woke up again. Let me lower the volume so that we don't hear Moxie talking to us.
Okay.
Good morning.
So Moxie is not judgmental, so it's a very important fine line. Moxie is mostly supportive of children, and it can get sad, but not disappointed.
Okay. How do you deal with different vocalization skills? The word formation of a human partner can be different, and also with accents.
You mean in terms of recognizing different accents? So we are using actually a very advanced voice recognition technology that is constantly getting better. Actually, that is the only piece of the technology that is not running on board the robot. We are using, we are partnered with Google, and we are using Google's ASR, which is the best out there, and is constantly getting better as they are able to get more and more data. So it's working really well for children, even children that may have some speech impediments and so on. Of course, there's a limit to how far it can go, but for most cases, it works very well, even with my accent.
Very minimal. Tell me about one of your first initial breakthroughs where you really realized, okay, this vision is going to work.
Well, I mean, in terms of the technology, it's very, very complex technology. in terms of the application, very early days, as I mentioned, as I was doing research, just showing them the concept. I had a video concept of this product that I shared with people, and it would resonate very well. Then one of the early prototypes we had built, actually within the first 6 months of the company, we had built one of the prototypes that didn't have any of the AI, but we had created a remote control interface to it, so we could remotely trigger responses and so on. So we could emulate what we thought the technology could do. And on the first encounter with a boy on the spectrum, he was, I think at the time he was 7 years old. We went to their home, and on the first encounter, we saw this child open up like never before. And when I saw this kid's mom have tear in her eyes, and I asked her, why are you so emotional about it? She says, because he doesn't interact this way. I'm excited to see that he has it in him, that this device is pulling it out. And we just kept seeing this over and over again. We knew this is not easy, but now we know it's worth doing, right? We can change people's lives.
So powerful. I can't imagine the feelings of the mom. And I mean, just my own emotional reaction seeing you interact was amazing, but as a parent and watching your child interact, that must be amazing. Our next question is, does the reading create a learn mode for Moxie?
So Moxie actually understands every word you're saying, is tracking and measuring the child's a number of things about the reading. So for instance, it measures the vocabulary of the child, articulation of the words, and so on. The reading speed, all of that is being measured. And then Moxie actually can engage in conversations about the topic of the book, which is from therapy. It's called using social stories to teach children about social emotional cues and techniques and so on. So Moxie will have a conversation about the book and say, why do you think this character did this? Or why do you think they felt this way? And don't you think this and that? And then depending on how the child is able to sort of answer those questions, Moxie will provide more and more support and explanation to them, which is called graded prompting. So we start increasing the level of the prompt until the child gets it. And that allows us to also measure what level the child is on in each of these skills that we are working on. And then we start from that lower level, so it adapts to the child and lowers the level, and then scaffolds them back up, building the skills.
Very interesting. Our next question is around some research that they've seen on language and language acquisition in children indicate that listening to television screens is not a good modality, and that the person-to-person interaction is better in the first 18 months and continuing up to 4 to 5 years. Are there plans to test and experiment with this sort of interactive development?
Yeah, I mean, we are leveraging already a huge body of evidence from research. There's about 12,000 publications on this field, believe it or not. I mean, because this is not something that we have discovered, many people prior to us have discovered in research that robots can have a huge important role in education, and especially for social emotional development. As a matter of fact, the name of the company is derived from a very important notion in this whole field, embodied. Embodiment is very important. So we know from neuroscience that interacting with something virtual on a screen and so on is not as good as when you interact with something that's physically embodied. And neuroscience shows that when you interact with something that's more embodied, there are mirror neurons, there are imitation neurons in our brain that trigger in a very different way than when you interact with something virtual. This is why we still like to have face-to-face meetings rather than virtual meetings. This is also why if you have, for instance, a charismatic speaker on stage, they can induce and elicit excitement in the audience. That's the mirror neurons that are imitating the excitement that they're projecting, right? So for sure, there's more work to do. I'm not saying there isn't. We've just said that this is just the tip of the iceberg. But one thing that's super exciting to me is that I think the biggest study ever done in this area has been using like a handful of robots for a period of a month to test the various things you can test about how this has impact on child's development. We just, as I mentioned earlier, we just shipped 100 robots to families, but that's even that, which is an order of magnitude bigger than any study ever done. But by later this year, we're actually going to start shipping to families who have purchased the product, and we're going to be in thousands of homes, and for a period of time that's much, much longer than any study has done. And this is going to be an opportunity for the research community to get data that has never been available. And that will give us insights, we believe, in many, many aspects of child development, and we can even including language and so on.
What is the age range for Moxie? Is there one?
Yeah, so we are targeting 5 to 10 years old.
Okay.
The reason that it's capped that way is multifold. One of them is the technology. For instance, if you're 1 or 2 years old, 2-year-old and so on, maybe they don't speak as clearly, so the speech recognition may not work well for them. The other one is that the content, you have to design the content to be attractive for an age group. And we had to go to a narrower range than ideally we would want it to be for everyone, but that it's designed for 5 to 10 year olds.
Okay. And then would Moxie be able to train a spectrum child to eventually interact with non-spectrum people?
Every child is different, right? Every child is a snowflake, so it's hard to generalize that way, but definitely the techniques that Moxie employs are taken from the best evidence-based techniques from child development and therapy. And if you interact with it we believe, and by the way, we have done some studies that are just too early to release right now. We are definitely seeing improvements. And another anecdote to your first question, like what was the aha moment for us? We had another boy actually in cross campus at Well. He came to the office for interacting with Moxie. We interviewed the parents, and this was a 4-year-old boy who had a very hard time connecting with anyone of his peers, and they had been going to therapy for months and had not seen any results. So on that first interaction, Moxie talked to the child about the importance of friendship, and then taught him a couple of tricks about how to open conversations and talking about favorite things and all that, and then gave the child a mission. Says, would you accept this mission, which was go talk to a number of people about Star Wars, which was a favorite movie for the child, and come and tell me about it next time you come back. So this was an experiment. The parents came back 2 days later for another session, and they were just blown away. We said, what's going on? They said, our boy is like a soldier. He took the mission so seriously that he's trying so hard to go and have conversations with a lot of children. And it was scary to some extent, by the way. The third time the child came back, we also realized that the children, their imagination is super vivid. So it was very hard for him to realize that he's not going to get Moxie to take home. And so we learned that we need to wean children off of Moxie almost the way you would wean someone off a drug. And there's a lot of analogies. By the way, there's a lot of what we call digital medicine or digital neurotherapy that is being deployed here. This is a whole new field in the last couple of years where a number of companies, actually some of our sister companies from the same investors, are getting FDA approval for treatments like this, for neurodevelopmental treatments that are pure technology based and there are no pharmaceuticals involved.
Wow. And so you had the AI ML with Moxie, and then for the data that you're gathering, is there a certain ML? Can you talk a little bit about that? So you have the robotic, and then you have the data that you're gathering around child development. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, first of all, I have to start by saying that it's everything we do with data is super private and secure.
Mhm.
Privacy of the children and families is super important to us, so the product is COPPA compliant. All the data is very secure, and none of the data that we have access to has any personal information attached to it. So we're aggregating in the abstract. So no personally identifiable information is available to us. It's only available to the parent, who gets a very unique encryption key. And if they lose it, even they cannot access it either. It will just be lost. So the data we are collecting, on one hand, helps us keep improving our algorithms, because a lot of the algorithms are machine learning-based algorithms. And then on the childhood development, we are looking at finding insights into the data, right? Trying to understand what kind of procedures are working for what kind of children. And we still don't have enough data on that to really be able to tell. But that's where machine learning is deployed on those, and is used to understand, to basically personalize and target the treatment that we deliver to every child, right? So once we get to that point, then the robot will adapt itself and work on treatments that have been known to work best for children of similar profile.
So interesting. Well, that's all of our questions. Did this bring up anything else that you want to share with us before we wrap up today?
No, I can keep talking. I've been working on this for 4 years, and I've just recently started talking about it. So I would rather have any questions you may have.
Okay. Well, I think then we will open it up for open networking with the others. We will close out here, and then I'll turn off the recording in just a minute. So thank you, Paolo, for sharing with us today. It was amazing. I'm so excited to hear about, kind of after they get out into the world, what that's going to look like. We've had you a number of times, as you mentioned, this is your second time. So we are excited about your journey and looking forward to following along in that.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And then next week, we look forward to seeing all our members again. We're going to have Adriana Saman, and she's going to talk about the evolution of fintech trends in a post-COVID era. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week.